I congratulate you and I thank you for having me. I had a very painful time writing this notes because I don't want to bore you, and I've been through enough of these types of things when I was young that frankly I don't remember anything anybody ever said. I remember the face of the speaker, I remember the attitude, the mood, but I really don't remember what was said. And what I can say today that can give you the necessary courage you will need. Nor am I sure I'd like to be on the other side of the podium right now. They say you're facing a pretty bad job market, economic devastation, degradation, climate change, 2 wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and a serious health cost crisis. And of course, we have the greatest war of all, this new thing, the one that George Bush declared and called the war on terror. It is clear this is being pictured to us as a time of great fear. We have all looked inside ourselves and tried to remember back to when we felt similar feelings. When I was your age, there was Vietnam, there was the Kennedy assassinations, there was Martin Luther King, turbulence, riots in cities, and yes, there were no jobs in the film business in 1972 and 1, and certainly not in the television business. The government felt like it was losing control of America. There were all these kids walking around smoking dope and looking weird and making all kinds of dissonant music and lyrics, and people were really scared. And most, as a result, voted for the law and order candidate, the tyrant Richard Nixon. The rest followed, as does the day, as does the night the day, as did Reagan and Bush, each the father to the son. Each of the three an angry backlash to a perceived violation, or one could call it fear. Fear is a distorting and powerful emotion. Young or old, we've all experienced it. It's a beast. It's the 600-pound gorilla in the room telling us you can't, you mustn't, stop. The beast sits right in front of you, and it's a loud beast. It doesn't actually touch us. It doesn't push us or force us. But it yells, and it turns red, and it makes faces until we get crazy in our heads. Some of us understandably back down and run. But the truth, if you think about it, is fear cannot actually make you do what it wants. You can do what it tells you, or you can say, hey, fear, I appreciate what you're trying to tell me. And I understand there's danger here. I'm not minimizing that. But now that you've said what you have to say, please now, leave me alone, go home, come back tomorrow, and I'll listen again to what you got to say. Then watch the look on fear's face. Hold that look. Breathe through it. And you know what? The beast might just stop yelling and back down because he sees that you're not going to change and you're not going to do what he wants you to do. And he gets tired of yelling like everybody else. And tomorrow, when he comes back, he just might be a little bit smaller. And the next day, and the next. Shrink the bastard. Eventually, you might make fear your friend, or if not a close buddy, make him an ally. Alexander said to his troops on the eve of battle, conquer your fear and you will conquer death. Our media generally tries to create a common denominator of thought that straitjackets us. This is this, that's that, and it's because of this, and it's because of that. Sometimes in the middle of it all, there are some facts, and that's why we read the media, because we try to see through the smoke to the fire. But generally they're saying stuff that's pessimist. They're selling bad news. After all, their reasons go, they got to make a buck, and if I don't, the other guy is going to do it. On television, it's murder, disease, death, crises, and failure every minute. Whether you realize it or not, and maybe some of you have not traveled outside this country yet, they frame most every argument like it's America against the world, and we have enemies everywhere. Whether it be tiny Cuba, bristling Venezuela, or the biggies like Russia or China, or tomorrow India, or tomorrow Pakistan, or tomorrow Africa, or tomorrow Canada, or tomorrow Mexico, or tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, creeps out this petty pace from year to year until the end of American recorded time. What emerges from this daily persuasion is unfortunately an ethnocentric, egocentric American point of view in our lifetime. We all have it. We're brainwashed. And we get the resulting calls for our action. We have to act. We have to spend more money. We have to react. And unfortunately, many of us pay the highest price as we get swept up in the waves of history created and enforced by the media and common misperceptions. As you get older, some of you may realize that life is always filled with problems. But when we act or react childishly to them, as if they're bigger than they are, which is the media's way, it's generally because we believe that we are the only ones who are having this problem when we are not. Not too long ago, around 1900, all these great Western empires were congratulating themselves at the greatness of Western civilization, partly because they controlled through their colonies almost the entire world's surface and its resources. Though some 10 to 12 million natives were killed in the Belgian Congo, they told us the world was civilized. Electricity, industry, money, Federal Reserve boards, free trade, tariffs, the British Empire, maritime duties. And then they all marched off as one mad beast into one of the most brutal and ugliest war of all time to that point, World War I. They fought it with gas, chemical agents, horrifying bombs, and it marked the end of the European empires. Chaos resulted. The West re-scrambled the territories, and within 20 years was at war again. A yet bloodier war called World War II. And from that grew more and more mythologies which haunt us today, and deceptions that I personally and many others grew up with. We heard lies, 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 more than you hear. And that's what you're going to get, though, as you get older. In my lifetime, I'm tired. I've been fighting communism from the 1946 to about 1993. We killed so many. We subverted so many countries in the name of freedom and democracy. And we bloated ourselves in numerous wars throughout the planet. America became the new empire, and more importantly, became a war-making and war-loving country. In the very same way, we have honed the art of money as another weapon of mass destruction. And by 2000, 100 years after 1900, if some of you can remember that far back, there was an amazing, amazing arrogance in the American establishment and media about our dominant role in the world and how everyone now is going to follow the American model. There was going to be neoliberal economics and globalization. With the Soviet Empire now collapsed, it was American triumphalism at its worst. And George Bush, to me, historically, will represent the overweening pride and shallowness and stupidity of that moment in 2000 when he so callously supervised the stealing of this election. Well, anybody who reads history, who knows history, could see this coming, and the last 8 years have certainly lived up to it. A nightmare beyond most conceivable proportions to a person who grew up in the 60s and 70s, and whose damage will be known in the coming years to you personally. We have lost our image as a country that believes in such things as immigration and change and idealisms, one that has come really to oppress those who seek change in their own countries. But is it the worst of times? I don't know. I think it has always been tough. Maybe a few years here and there of relative peace, but peace is not an easy thing to achieve. Peace is truly the result of struggle, and war is the result of the failure of a struggling peace. Most importantly, though, it is the struggle inside yourselves that makes your peace, and it is up to you. I'm not the first one to say that peace can only begin once you have come to grips with your own aggressiveness. I do believe it. We cannot do anything unless we change ourselves, and that is often the hardest task of all. When they ask you, are you having a good day? Learn to say, I'm okay. Same thing. If they ask you, are you having a bad day? Say, I'm okay. Good day, bad day, I'm okay. That's the point. Take the good, the bad, the neutral, stir, mix, and live as best you can in equanimity and balance. For this, you got an education. Believe it or not, that is probably the most important thing you can get here. A process by which you can develop and discipline your mind. The challenge of growing up is learning to live with setbacks and challenges. You've learned about film, you've learned about the history of it, its traditions, but the real point of film is to sharpen your mind in the same way as that history, sociology, economics, mathematics, the sciences shape your mind. They teach you how to think, to shape your mind so that you can take the same world that exists for all these sciences and arts and can give back to it, contribute to it, nurture it, create civilization with film. Fight everything that's toxic in this civilization. Read, especially film students. I urge you to read history and remember the past, because without memory, there is only the dictatorship of now, the panic of now, the panic of an immature president like George Bush overreacting to the terrorist acts of 9/11 and saying, we've got to fight back. It's us against them. We're the deciders, and the world is a free fire zone, and our phones, our privacy, our rights are subject to the rules of state. This is the beast of fear yelling in your face. What are you going to do? You got to do something. Revenge, bomb, kill. Don't be a softy. Act tough. And that is always going to happen in this country. Your whole life is going to be these vigilante mobs with this desire for revenge, getting even, blood. There's even Hollywood filmmakers. There are a dime a dozen doing very well, getting Pentagon cooperation, making movies, promoting technology, military technology that is awesome and makes you want to kill, makes you want to fight, makes you want to use it. And there's always another terrorist. There's always another Dick Cheney around the corner with another version of another nightmare. It will never go away. Terror is the yawning fear of depression, communism, drugs, homosexuality, immigrants, poverty, and generally anything. But neither terror, nor drugs, nor poverty, nor communism, nor social change, nor equality, nor abortion, nor homosexuality, nor any of these demands for this change and freedom will ever cease. That's the reality of the world. And there will always be those who go along with change and those who resist change. It seems as if it always breaks down to these two categories at the end of the day. And here, history strewn with corpses can attest to that. They yell their soundless warnings, and yet we never hear. Watching a younger generation march off to new wars with approving smiles renders an old man sad. What powers do we really have to alter any landscape but our own? Your responsibility here as graduating students is, I repeat, to civilization, to read history, to know humanity, and above all, to remember the past. I repeat again because repetition works. Without memory, there is only the dictatorship of now. And the knowledge of history will teach you that empires cannot succeed with physical or economic force alone, but only in the realm of the spirit. And your mind is the asset which you have appreciated here. And if it is open, it will continue to grow through your life. It is your concentration that has to hold up in the face of adversity, such as the wind. A little of this, it's like a garden, your mind. A little sun, a little rain, a little fertilizer, some good insects and bad insects, some adversity, a little of this, a little of that. But never damage your garden with too much of this or too much of that. Your mind is a beautiful thing, strong and not fragile. It can take excess and abuse, but only so much. Fear at first might be your taskmaster, but in the end, it may well be your friend. And your friends in life may betray you, and your enemies may become your best teachers. Accept the paradox. Don't judge until you know. And then when you know, you know. Try everything. And don't forget to read history, as much of it as you can get. Jim Morrison of The Doors may not have made it out of UCLA Film School, but don't be discouraged. He died too young, but he lived like a flower with his head in the breeze. Stay open. And my best advice for those of you going out into this crazy, exciting world, don't fall in love right away. Don't get married. Get a backpack, a ticket to nowhere. Take a year off. Travel your ass off. Learn everything you can. Listen to the wind. It may cost you money not to work, but that year off is money. Time and experience is what will make your life rich. And it's not going to make much difference in the end if you take your first job at 21 or 24 or later, as long as you grow well. So goodbye, good luck, and go out there no matter what happens. Good day, bad day, okay. And keep smiling.